Today, we're going to talk about a decision that, honestly, on the surface, makes absolutely no sense. It's a story about what money is really worth and what someone is willing to pay for their principles. So, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. Imagine you are at the absolute peak of your career, and someone offers you a life-changing, almost ridiculous amount of money to just keep doing what you love. Could you say no? Could you honestly walk away from $50 million? Back in 2004, this is the amount of money that comedian Dave Chappelle walked away from. And look, this wasn't some hypothetical idea. This was a real deal sitting on a real table, and he just said no.
I mean, as he says himself, people called him insane. And you can see why, right? It goes against everything we're taught about success and money. So the real question is, why? What on earth could possibly be more valuable than that kind of security?
See, this wasn't about him running from money. In fact, he was super clear about it. I still want that money. No, the decision was about something way deeper. He was having what he called a crisis of conscience. The story goes, there was this moment where he felt like his comedy's message was getting twisted. He started to worry that the laughs he was getting were for all the wrong reasons, that he was actually reinforcing stereotypes instead of tearing them down. And that whole path to success, it felt like it was compromising his own sense of right and wrong. To really truly understand a choice this big, we have to look back. We have to rewind a full generation to a principled stand that kind of echoed through his whole family's history. Okay, so check this out. Chappelle's father was a statistician, and when the company he worked for started doing business with the apartheid government of South Africa, he quit. Just like that, on principle. Now, this choice had some serious consequences. It caused friction in his marriage and led to real financial hardship for the family. But now, fast forward a generation, when Dave Chappelle is facing his own crisis of conscience, where does he find refuge? In a now free South Africa, the very place his father had sacrificed so much for. And this is the core lesson he took away from all that family history. Your decisions, they don't just affect you in the here and now. They ripple forward. They actually inform the choices, the character, and even the opportunities of the generations that come after you. It's a legacy that is so much bigger than a bank account. So this generational echo, it forged this really powerful philosophy for how to navigate life's toughest choices. And he explains it with this killer metaphor. Chappelle argues that there's this subtle but really dangerous shift happening in how we think about ethics. We're all being encouraged to stop thinking in terms of good and bad, and instead to only think in terms of better or worse.
He breaks it down like this. Think of a compass. It's guided by good versus bad. It's your internal set of principles, your true north. But then you have the maze, which is only driven by better versus worse. That's just a race for the next reward, the cheese. A compass helps you realize you're in a maze in the first place. Well, the whole point of the maze is to keep you trapped inside, never even questioning the system.
And here's where it gets kind of scary. If your only motivation is just chasing whatever is better, you become incredibly easy to control. You basically become a mouse in a maze. All someone has to do is keep moving the cheese, and they can lead you anywhere they want.
But let's be honest for a second. Using your compass when everyone else is running through the maze is terrifying. It means turning your back on the cheese, on the money, on what everyone else thinks is success. And that takes real courage.
Courage isn't about not being afraid. Chappelle reminds us that you literally can't be brave if you aren't scared in the first place. Bravery is feeling that fear. The fear of going broke, of what people are going to say, of the total unknown, and then doing the right thing anyway. So where did this courageous, fear-facing decision actually lead him? Well, it's time to look at the real bottom line and how this whole story completely redefines what it means to be wealthy. This is the question everyone asks, right? He walked away from $50 million. From a purely financial standpoint, was it a total catastrophe? I mean, did he ever recover from that? Well, in November of 2016, years after that big decision, Dave Chappelle made a deal for $60 million, more than he walked away from. So, simple, happy ending, right? He stood by his principles and got rewarded with even more money. But that's not the point, not at all. The money is really just a footnote. The real victory wasn't the bigger paycheck. It was proving that his compass worked. It was about setting a standard for himself and for his family that was worth more than any dollar amount you could put on it. And this brings us to the final, really powerful idea. When he compares himself to other famous comedians, He doesn't measure success by fame or fortune. He brings it all back to legacy. He asks, I would like to know what their great-grandfathers did. In his eyes, true wealth is the integrity of your ancestors. It's the story that gets passed down through generations.
And that leaves us with a final question to think about for ourselves. In all the choices we make every single day, the big ones and the small ones, are we just a mouse looking for the next piece of cheese in the maze? Or are we following a compass? What is your compass pointing towards?